You know what it is. That's right. It's time to talk money with your money nerd and financial coach. Now, tighten those purse strings and open those ears. It's the Money Talk with Tiff podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast. Today, I have Tracy Lamourie on the line. Now, Tracy is a high-profile international award-winning publicist. She is also the founder and managing director of Lamourie Media Inc., and she is the author of the upcoming book, Get Repped, Build Your Brand with Effective Public and Media Relations. She's been featured in Rolling Stone magazines, The Hollywood Times, NBC TV, and other major media outlets. So thank you so much, Tracy, for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much. And my clients have been featured in all kinds of media too, because that's what I do.
Right. I know if I went on and on with the list, we would be here forever.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy bio. But the point is, like, when you work with me or when you work with a publicist or when you do the publicist work, you get all those accolades that you can throw in your bio, from the awards to the media to that, and all those things get you other media spots. They make you the most valuable player at the office. They get you clients, all that fun stuff. So it's a journey. It's fun. And everyone should do it. And that's what I'm here to talk about.
Yeah. Yes. And so you jumped right in, because that was actually going to be my first question. So what is a publicist and what do they do? You can give us a brief overview, but just break it down for my audience. What does a publicist actually do?
For sure. People, when you hear the word publicist in media, it's usually associated with a sports star or a celebrity or Samantha from Sex and the City when they want to glam up a character on TV. It's hilarious. What we actually do is mostly desk work and then some VIP parties and exciting travel. But it's basically about, you hear the terms like thought leadership now and third-party validation and all that. So what we do is with the mainstream media, the original, not the social media, but with television, radio, newspapers, podcasts, and now other digital media, Huffington Post, for example, which is a magazine or newspaper, but it's only online. So it's getting yourself quoted. What I help my clients do is get them quoted in mainstream media and in niche media and in industry media, so that they built their thought leadership and they built that gravitas and authority behind their name and their business. So it helps them attract customers. It helps them attract investors. I had one of my clients, and I'm not a finance girl, I hadn't been up to that point, so I wasn't thinking so much about that as about customer retention and that kind of thing. But one of my clients, after 6 weeks literally of working together in the 3 or 4 media spots we got, she told me, "You've changed my business and my life." No word of a lie. And when I asked her, like, that's quite the accolade. What do you mean? She said, "Because you made investors take us more seriously." And she had just gone through her pre-seed funding. She was going to her seed funding. I thought, oh, of course, if you think about it, if I'm going to go do business with somebody, I go and search them on the Google. If I'm going to drop $1 million investment on a company, certainly I'm going to want to know more than just their investment deck, which we can all make a pretty deck if we pay someone to, and their social media they're saying about themselves. Think about it, if you're comparing between two companies that you might want to invest in or do business with or whatever, and you go to Google and search one, and all you find is stuff that they've created themselves, while the other one is quoted in Fortune and Entrepreneur and whatever is being called the disruptor, is on the stages. Who are you going to automatically, and those are things you can't buy. So that's what I do, is basically elevate and celebrate, point a finger, and get the attention of the world on the amazing things that people are doing across industries. So I literally have clients in everything from real estate to authors to small businesses to startups to crypto to literally interior design is my newest client. Literally almost anything you can think of. If you think of yourself as an expert in that, which you are, otherwise you wouldn't be hanging out your shingle or asking people to give you money for it, and realize there are a ton of media opportunities you're not seeing. A ton. I always think of that I Love Lucy show. I always talk about this, where there's like that assembly line, they're all like going to grab whatever. It's like those are the media opportunities, and you're sitting there, if you even know about them, trying to grab them. They're there. Most people are just looking over and they're completely, as all these free opportunities are going by them, and they're just spending tons of money on advertising or doing whatever. So from a financial perspective, what I do really 10x's your business in other people's minds, from your Aunt Edna to the person that might fund you, to the person who might choose you over your competitor. And that just elevates what you're doing. It brings the money in. And I'm a case in point. I started doing this a decade ago. I learned 20 years ago to write a press release through other work, like activist work, which is a whole other story. You can Google me for that. But when I 10 years ago started doing my brand, I was 42 years old, and I started as a freelancer. From there, I went into it, got so big so fast, I had to do general partnership, and I didn't know anything about business with the back end. So my business consultant, who is a friend of mine that was one of my client, was like, no, you need to incorporate. You have clients in Dubai, in England, in LA, from this little place from here in Canada. And I wasn't incorporated. So she put my back end into place. But once I had the business processes and I started doing what I know best, which is not just putting my clients out there, but taking a few hours here and there to speak about my own expertise the way I do for my clients, right? It has honestly the difference and that's over COVID. This 2 years has been over COVID. And the difference that it has done for my credibility, my business, now I get on a call with complete confidence. Okay, I feel like I'm interviewing them as much as they're interviewing me. I might or might not decide to take that one. The difference in like having that feeling of having to get clients and that feeling of being able to choose what you want to work on, to me, that is like the absolute true definition of success. That's the number one. And you wouldn't be a guest there without having reached that confident, the money plateau where you're not desperate for that dollar like 3 years ago. But once you reach, that's the definition of success, when you can be like, no, how do I want to spend my day? And what do I want to spend my day on? So I have the luxury now of being able to say no to as many projects as I say yes to, which means I actually passionately care about the people and the projects that I'm working on. So it never feels like work, even though I'm working like 18 hours a day.
Nice. Now, you mentioned, like before we hit record, you mentioned that you just finished a talk on how people can increase their presence without having to spend on ads. So I want to hop into that really quick, because a lot of people think that they have to, I guess it's a semi misconception. You have to spend money in order to make money, but you don't have to spend your money in ads. I've never, I don't think, ran ads. And if I did, it was like $20 here, $20 there. So what are some things that people can do if they're listening to this and they're like, you know what, I need some publicity? What are some beginner steps that they can take?
For sure. I'll hit you with some. So I'll intro this, but while you're getting on your pen and paper ready to type, because I'm going to give you some real juice. But absolutely, that's like very important. And yeah, the talk was, I just went to Colorado to do it. It was called How to Build Your Global Brand Without Advertising. I have literally never spent a penny in advertising in a decade of this. Not a penny. Sorry, like you said, I think I've done $20 here, $10 here, boosting a particular Facebook post that I was mostly doing it for a client's visibility. But literally, I've never bought an ad. I've never bought a thing. When people message me, hey, we'll interview you, put you on the cover of this. If you pay, I'm always like, yeah, but I don't pay for that. And sometimes they come back and say, we'll do it anyway. I'm like, all right, if you want to do it, then we pay. But I've never paid for an ad. I'm not saying ads don't have their place. Like in some things, like maybe you're selling a widget in that market, you need an ad. But to me, if you could do either marketing or public relations, 1,000% do public relations, because it's going to do what an ad does in terms of getting visibility, having people that haven't already seen it see you. But then when they see it, because everybody knows we're sophisticated audiences these days. It's not the 1950s. As seen on TV. Now people know you can buy an ad, you can buy the whatever, you can buy the whatever. They always did know, but now anybody can, and we see so much of it. It's not impressive. But when all of a sudden you're quoted in that thing that you can pay a publicist for to find the opportunities, to pitch you to the opportunities, to whatever, but you cannot pay to get into the Reader's Digest.
Hey, it's Tiffany. Are you interested in starting a podcast? We can get up to 2 months of free podcasting service from Libsyn with the code MONEYTALK. Get your show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify anywhere you want. Get critical stats to help you grow. Find all the tools and support you need to sound your very best. And you can even do video. Really bring your podcast to life with Libsyn. You can use code, again, MONEYTALK, to get 2 months of free podcasting service. This is what I use to get my podcast to your listening ears. Enjoy.
As the expert quote. You can't pay to be the person quoted in the Forbes article. You can't pay. You know what I mean? So that makes the difference. If you can, and really PR traditionally, when you call a PR house, it can be the same price as marketing. So it can be like $3,000 a month, 3 months minimum if you were doing a giant campaign. But this is where it gets a little advertorial. I'm just going to say this real quick, and everything else will be editorial, because people often won't make that call or won't approach the publicist because they think that it's going to be out of their range. But specifically because I do so many workshops, and and maybe other publicists do this too. I'm not trying to just sell myself. Look at the market, right? But specifically with me, I know that because I do so many talks to small business, to solopreneurs, to entrepreneurs, to authors, to like individual people who don't have that kind of budget, and I'm super passionate about how important it is and how much this elevates and changes the playing field for them, that I make sure that there are accessible, like actually are accessible price points for humans to get in on, as opposed to the like individual people that could go. So if you have most people that have a business or are doing anything kind of thing, I have a price point that if not this month, you'll be able to do it next month. Think about it. But before you even, you don't need a publicist. If you can't afford that, if you have more time than money, if you have whatever, these are the tips that you can use, but just be super careful when you use them, that you always have in your head editorial, not advertorial. So you're providing information. You're a source to the media. They're not in the business of giving you a free ad. They're not there to do that. So you have to be like, what valuable information do I have that I can present? So whether you're doing that in a press release or a media advisory, which the barrier is really high, and for what is news in that, what your sources are, where you're going. But always make sure if you're doing a press release or media advisory that your subject line is super strong, because think about how many emails you erase without even opening them. Imagine how much a reporter is getting when 80% of the stuff they know isn't going to be newsworthy. They're just making that determination before they even click on it if it's news. So make sure all your stuff is in that subject line. But before you even think about that, because that can be a big chunk to figure out how to do right and how to contact them, a way to get your feet wet and to understand what kind of questions media has and is interested in for somebody in whatever career you have, and whatever, whether you're the landscaper, whether you're a financial expert, whether you're the doctor, baker, candlestick maker, I don't care. Challenge me, whatever you do, there's media opportunities for you. And even if you think it's boring, it's not. There are mainstream media and industry media opportunities for you. And you're an expert that you have an expertise we don't have, whatever in your day. If you're a pest control expert, it doesn't matter. Things we don't. There are things that, yeah. Anyway, go to some of these services I pay hundreds of dollars a month for. Some are free, some are hashtags. There's a whole bunch of services and places where you can connect online with reporters who are already going to do a story. So it's like the opposite of a press release. Press release, you're putting out your idea. Here's a story idea. Come and interview me, and I'm the star of the story if they come. With this, the reporters have already got a story. They know they're going to be writing about whatever, and now they're looking for the experts to quote. In the old days, who knows how they did that? Nowadays, they have a million ways they can get the source in an hour or two. So there's a free service called Haro, which is one, called Help a Reporter Out, that a lot of people know as an entry-level one. It's got a lot of good stuff, but number one, think editorial, advertorial, and super quickly, because some of the things in Haro come out a day after we see them in some of the other services that we pay for. A little bit behind in Haro already, though I've gotten a ton of amazing results on Haro. The key is quick, concise responses that are informative into what they're asking, along with that nice little more about Tiffany, more about Tracy's a compelling people, who's happy to answer more questions. So a little reason, and then as you do this and develop this more and more, you get more little links that you can add from previous media interviews that you can show them, and it gets easier and easier. Sometimes right out of the gate, you get a major one. But yeah, so check out Haro, Help a Reporter Out. You literally go up, you sign up, you get 1 email a day or 3 emails a day to your topic, or I suggest looking at all the topics, because you may be surprised with what you could. Some of them, for example, like you might be a financial person, so you might think, oh, I'm just going to go and do the financial topics. But if you were to get all of them, including the general list, you're going to get the one about basic entrepreneurs or about lifestyle stuff that you may be like, I can answer that. And then they would mention your business. So that Haro is for sure. If you're not already on it, go right now, because it's going to open up your mind and show you what's available. Another one similar to Haro that I find super effective, but it's not free, it's $199 a month or something, is Quoted, Quoted. I find it's really effective. It gets things quicker than Haro, and reporters seem to be a little bit more responsive on it, probably because of the fact that there is that entry point. They probably have less people on it because it's not free, right? So there's a little bit more. But then there's just a hashtag journal request, which you get a lot of UK stuff on that. For some weird reason, it's 80% UK. But a lot of times they're looking for people, whoever. I got a US beauty brand client in a Daily Mail article in the UK, which is like insane, like the millions and millions. It was like killer. It was the best thing all year. And they don't even sell their brand yet in the UK. It doesn't matter. He was there talking about building his brand and that. So yeah, so those are a couple. What else? Journal request. Oh, and there's an Australia one called Source Bottle. And that's mostly Australian, but again, there's some US stuff on it. Yeah, so there's all these different things. Problem is, you could get into, I spend a good 3 hours of my day going through all of these. So you could get into spending a lot of time doing the nice thing for my clients, even some who have already used some of these. But when I come in now, they only have to spend 10 minutes on that because I'm going through 3 hours, pulling out the 3 things for Tiffany, telling you, okay, here's the one you got to answer, boom. And then they don't even have to answer them. I can call and transcribe it for them, and then boom, they're in Reader's Digest or they're in whatever. They don't. So it's taken 5 minutes out of their day instead of an hour and a half to find it and 20 minutes to write it. And so that's where you get into, do I want to mow my own lawn or pay the guy who's really good at it? But at the same time, sometimes it's better to do it yourself. Like, it's a balance, right? Where are you in your career? Where are you in your life? Where are you in building your business? Is it better if you have some time and you're putting time into other things? Put some time into this. But I can't stress enough, don't just start emailing. We can all find the newspaper's report. Don't just start emailing them unless you're really sure that you have that editorial versus advertorial, that you know the audience. And this is something, doesn't mean they're going to put it on, but that it is potentially something they would put on, because otherwise you can burn that bridge as easily. In your local media, there's only a couple of them. You don't want to burn that bridge so they never open your future emails because you sent them something about a carpet cleaning sale that you were having or something. You'd be surprised the kind of things people don't understand is not media, is not editorial. And they're happy to send you to the ad department because they're businesses too, right? So
they're like, you can pay us if you want to. Thank you so much, Tracy. You dropped so many gems. It was
I could talk for hours about this. But those are the key ones if you want to get your head around starting to do some of it.
Yes, I have definitely used Harrow in the past, but these other ones I had no idea. So I'll be look, I was writing down, y'all. So I will definitely.
I'll do it for you.
So definitely, thank you so much, Tracy. This was awesome, and at least it'll give people a way to get started with their publicity if they're not at the point of hiring a publicist like yourself.
And just thinking about it, like, again, a big key part is thinking about yourself as an expert, because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, why would they want to interview me? Again, why did you put your shingle out? Why are you taking people's money? Because you know what you're doing. So now share that same confidence that you have to take people's money, to share that knowledge that you have, and you'll be amazed at the results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if people are at the stage of wanting to hire a publicist, how could they find out more about you, or where can they find you online?
Yeah, that'd be great. And I do work absolutely globally, internationally. So when you work with me, you have access to literally international media and all the contacts that I made through all my other projects, which includes everything from celebrities and A-listers. I'm accredited to the Cannes Film Festival to the business stuff that I do. So it's kind of come into a really neat world. And so you can find me at LamourieMedia.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Tracy Lamourie PR Media. LinkedIn is an amazing place to meet up with me, just Tracy Lamourie. And and also I'll give you a number too. In the States, I have a Beverly Hills phone number, 424-444-8052. And it actually rings through to my Toronto number right now at 289-788-5881.
Nice. Awesome. And if you all did not catch that, I will make sure that I have it in the show notes. So it will be there if you're driving.
So if you spell this right, which you did, or I did, or whatever, I'm easy to find. Yes. Look for the red-haired girl.
Yes.
You know it's me.
So I will have that for you all. And thank you so much, Tracy, for coming on the show today. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening, joining, and being a part of the Money Talk with Tiff podcast this week. You can check Tiff out every Thursday for a new Money Talk podcast. But if you just can't wait until next week, you can listen to previous podcast episodes at moneytalkwitht.com, or follow Tiff on all social media platforms at Money Talk with T. Until next time, spend wise by spending less than you make. A word to the money wise is always sufficient.